What's up, guys? The name is Andrew Erickson. I'm the newest member of the Win Daily Sports team. I'm going to be coming at you guys all season long with NFL, DFS related content, whether it's through articles, whether it's through these types of videos. You're going to be hearing a lot of me. Remember, Andrew Erickson. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew Erickson _, and I'm really happy to be part of the Win Daily team. So first, for this video, we're going to review the general tips on strategy on DraftKings. So the first thing you want to know is what and identify is basically what are you playing on DraftKings. So there are basically two main types of games you can play. You got cash games and you got GPP games, your tournament plays. So in your cash games, you want to remember you're not going for the boom or bust plays. You want those high floor players in your rosters. Remember, the payout structure in these cash games is everybody that finishes within a top range receives the same payout. So for example, in a 50-50 contest of 60 entries, finishing 30th will net you the same amount as finishing first. So you really don't have any advantage of really trying to, I really want to finish in first place. You don't get any edge in that. It's the same as finishing in 30. So you really want to focus on being safe, which in my case, in your case as well, you should be focusing on those big running backs, the Christian McCaffreys of the world. Those are the guys you want to pay up for on cash lineups. Now looking the other side with the GPPs, this is where you want to be contrarian. This is where, all of the commercials come into play, where, he's looking for this specific sleeper. This is where you need to be contrarian. So basically, a lot of the times you only get into the money if you place in the top 25%. That's how it is in the Millionaire Maker. So if you diversify your lineups with low ownership and fade the chalky plays. So who you don't play is actually just as important as who you do play. So for example, let's say there's a chalky player at wide receiver, coming in at $9,000. But then you have another player who's slightly under that price, who's coming in at $700. But so has a terrible matchup and is coming off a really disappointing performance. You want to target that second player, player Y in this case, in the GPPs. You're playing to win the DFS DraftKings tournament, not necessarily just to be safe. You want to play to win. The entire lineup, though, does not have to be crazy. It's one thing that's really important to note. Not everything has to be contrarian about your lineup. It just has to be unique enough so that the last thing you want is to split your millionaire winnings with another competitor. Now, the second part is your roster construction. So the biggest thing I see with DFS players, especially rookies when they first start out, is that they really focus in on the players. I really want to get this guy. I really want to get this guy. That's not what you want to do, and that's really why rookies lose all the time. That's how I started. I started focusing on the players, and it was like I just kept losing. And what I found out was, hey, it's about the roster construction. It's not about, I got to pick the best quarterback with the best lineup. No, that's not how you do it. That's how you lose. There's a reason why they put the quarterback at the top of the lineup. It's kind of to deceive you a little bit. You don't want to do that. You don't build your lineup around your quarterback. Quarterback is the most easiest one to get value on, so that's where you want to start from the bottom up, not with quarterback, because quarterback is easily replaceable and it's tough to get value back where you pay up. So what you want to do here is you want to identify the stud running backs, whether it's cash or GPPs. This is where you want to get your points, and this is where you want to spend your salary. You get the value at wide receiver, at tight end. That's where you follow up. You look for targets. Where can you get targets? Because even the high-priced wide receivers, they're more likely to bust than the high-priced running backs, just because it's harder to project that volume because they are dependent on another position. Whereas the running backs, hey, I know that Saquon Barkley is going to get all the touches. You just know that going in. So that's why it's not worth it to pay up at wide receiver or tight end in cash games, or really in GPPs either, because it's just not super return on your investment. But what you want to do with those receivers and tight ends, you want to utilize the stack technique. So the stack technique, again, is looking at correlated production. So looking at a quarterback and a receiver, looking at a quarterback and a tight end, looking at a quarterback and running back on the same team. That way you can correlate all of that team's touchdowns for the most part, in some way, fashion. So utilizing a stack is especially key in GPPs, and if you can kind of make it work into your cash lineup, if it just kind of makes sense, then you definitely want to go with that, because that really helps maximize your upside within your roster construction. Because remember, everyone's looking at the same matchups, everyone's picking from the same player pool, but this is what can help separate you from some of those other lineups, is using this stacking method. And another thing, talking about with DraftKings, specifically with the Millionaire Maker, here are a couple tips that I found looking at the 2018 rosters that won the Millionaire Maker last season. So you want to go pass catching running back in the flex. You want to play an opposing running back versus your quarterback, and stack your own quarterback and running back. This is kind of different. Most people stack with receivers, but I found that actually stacking with the quarterback and running back has actually been a very high investment in terms of returning on it. It's very good. The next thing you want to do is actually you want to fade the quarterback wide receiver 1 stack, and you actually want to go with the quarterback wide receiver 2 stack. It actually comes in less priced, and with that in mind, it's actually less owned. Most people are going to always go towards the top receiver, top quarterback stack, but if you actually go with the QB1 and the wide receiver 2, it's actually more likely to help you, and you'll be able to fit it within your budget. In terms of quarterback, like I said, you definitely want to save money, so you want to go with a mid-tier guy, somewhere between $5,000 and $6,100. This is going to obviously fluctuate, but based on the prices from last year, that's kind of what we saw. And then you also want to pay down a tight end. You want to punt tight end. We play in a world where the tight end position is just kind of forgotten about, and I think that you can continue to do that. The biggest thing I think with the Millionaire Maker is you do not have to be perfect. A lot of people try to perfect every lineup, but if you can make your lineup, across the board amazing, and you just have a $2,500 tight end in there, go with it. Do not be afraid to punt at the tight end position. And you can find more of these tips on my article at windailysports.com. And then the last thing that I want to talk about with you guys is the late game swap. You are not done when you submit your roster, when you lock it in at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. You're not done. That's because you can use this late game swap strategy. Basically, what this means is you can go back into your rosters and you can make position changes to guys playing in the later games. So if your lineup is getting crushed, then you can swap out some of your, safer floor guys, even in a cash game lineup, to some more upside guys that, have more risk. But it's like at this point, hey, my lineup's tanking. I can be a little bit more risky here, just to see if I can pull something out. And you can also use it in a 50-50, where you can kind of use deductive reasoning to figure out, okay, like my opponent has XYZ left of players. If I play these players, I'll have a significant advantage over him or whoever you're playing. So it's really important to, once you put your lineup in, you're not necessarily done. Keep an eye on them, and I know that it can be tilting at times to keep an eye on your lineup, but you definitely want to keep looking at it. You want to keep investing in it, and you want to keep your eyes on it for sure, because you can utilize this late game swap, and that could be a really big difference in terms of winning. Some of the best DFS players use the late game swap to really build an edge, and it's just another strategy, something you can add to your arsenal. And it's not something that a lot of people do. Most people set it and forget it, but not us here at Win Daily Sports, because we want you to win daily. So in conclusion, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll be creating more videos like this, going over different tips. We have preseason DFS coming up soon, so I'm really excited for that. So check out my articles. I'm really glad to be part of the team. Good luck this season, and again, follow me on Twitter at @AndrewErickson_, and go check out Win Daily Sports for all your DFS content. Thanks, guys.